today being the last one of the year. Dervla, are we live? Just remind everyone the microphone's on. Microphone's on, speak nice, loud and clearly please. And directly into the microphone, and so our listeners can hear. Councillor Truman, could I ask if you could avail yourself of karakia, please?
I te atua kaharawa kia tata mai koe kia mātou I tēnei rā, manaki te a mātou mahi katoa I rungi tingoa o te tama o te wairua tapu ake amene.
Amen. Thank you very much, Councillor Truman. Apologies. We have from Councillor Harvey, who's on international duty at the moment. Otherwise, we've got a full house. I have a mover for that apology to be accepted. Thank you, Councillor Park. Seconded by Councillor Christowski. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Those against? Carried. Item number 1. The minutes, confirm the minutes of the ordinary meeting, Taupo District Council on the 25th of November. Any points of clarification or typos? Or any matters arising from these minutes?
Yes, Your Worship. At that meeting in regards to the water bylaw, I discussed, and Mr Green was going to come back in regards of the legality of automatic sprinklers, and it was going to be confirmed. Is there an update on that?
Thank you. Mr Green?
Through Mr Chairman, there is an update, and the bylaw does not make sprinklers, the automatic sprinklers, illegal.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Park?
Yes, thank you. I've brought up the issue of the wood hogging, of the wood that's sent to Kinleith, and if there was any cost benefit to us or vice versa.
Wood hogging, was that such a word, was there?
It's under the... On one part 3 under the Chief Executive report. Staff would check and inform elected members whether there was a cost associated with sending wood hogging to Kinleith.
Excuse me, was this still solid waste as in the wood?
Yeah, well, the wood was being sent to Kinleith, and I was just wondering if we actually got a kickback from that, or it was just a general query.
1/3, yeah. Staff would check and inform elected members whether there was a cost associated with...
We're still checking.
Yeah, we'll find out.
Okay.
Email you back.
All right. We'll check on that. Come back to Councillor Park. Well, it's actually to all elected members. Yeah. So, any other questions or queries as arising? Could I have a move for those minutes, please? Thank you, Councillor Cousins. Seconded by Councillor Christowski. All those in favour, please say aye. Against? Carried. Item number 2, receipt of minutes, Fences, Reserves and Dogs Committee, 17th of November, Mangakino-Pouakani Representative Group, Special Ad Hoc Committee, and also Emergency Management Committee. I intend to move those on block if I could. Do we have any typos or questions, matters arising from those minutes?
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. With the Special Ad Hoc Committee that met on the class ball gambling and TAB venue, it has myself in attendance. I actually was present for the end of the meeting. I just think it's a misrepresentation to say that I was actually in attendance. I'd quite like my name removed.
Yep. Page, please, Councillor.
2/12.
2/12.
Yes. It takes away from the fine work.
Would you like in attendance from your time of arrival?
No, I just admit it.
2 minutes before
it's not worthy of me being
cool.
noted as in attendance. Thank you.
Delete that. Yep, sure. Thank you. Councillor Park, any other questions or queries, typos? Any matters arising from those minutes? That being the case, could I have a mover, please? Thank you, Councillor Kozowski, seconded by Councillor Hickling. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Those against? Carried. Item number 3, consideration of the recommendations. So the recommendations are there from the various committees. Is Council happy to formally move those recommendations? Thank you, Councillor Boddy, seconded by Councillor Stewart. Thank you. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Those against? Carried. Item number 4, Asset Manager, Water and Waste, Mr Dennis Lewis. Good afternoon, Mr Lewis.
Good afternoon, Your Worship. We have a report here for the extension of the Three Waters contract. It is the contract is a 3+1+1. In February of this year, Council awarded the first of the 2 possible year extensions. The contract itself is a term service contract, so the contractor delivers a service which is the maintenance of the water and waste and stormwater networks right throughout the district. The key delivery of this contract is performance. Fulton Hogan are the incumbent, and currently they have been the incumbent for the past, well, this will be 4 years, coming up 4 years. They have significant local knowledge in the area which enables them to respond reasonably quickly to events as they occur. What we have done with this proposal is to provide for an allocation of about 150k in the next draft, next year's proposal for proactive maintenance for the likes of flushing sewer mains. If you recall, last month we had some problems down in Turangi, which resulted from build-up of fat. So we've allowed allocation in the contract to do some 37 kilometres of flushing and networks to try and prevent that sort of occurrence.
Great. Okay, thanks, Dennis. So this is the last year of the contract?
Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I would move that, but just with one question. It's the last year. If this contract will come up after, is it 30th of June 2016, do we then go out for tender, or do we ask them to approach us? What's the format?
Council has the opportunity to make that choice.
Yeah, thank you.
Councillor Cousins? Yep. Cool. Councillor Jollins?
Thank you. A question for Mr. Lewis. This contract expires, this contract is due for renewal in April next year, is that right, or June next year?
June, 30th of June.
Is there any reason why we're discussing it now, when we've still got another 6 months to go?
We need that period of time to go through the tendering process, so that
we choose the other option?
Yes.
Sure. Okay,
Yep.
just wanted to clarify that.
Yep. Councillor Jollins, you've definitely got your speaker on?
Yes, I do.
Yep.
Is it not
Cool.
with me?
Okay. Yeah, that's good. Okay, thank you. Councillor Hickling?
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. Dennis, was it expected that this contract would almost double its estimate?
Yes.
Yeah, so it's been allocated in the budget?
It all meets within the budgets that have been allocated, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Cool. Thank you. Okay, it's been moved by Councillor Boddy. Have a seconder, please. Thank you. Councillor Park. Suggested resolution there, or recommended resolution. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Those against? Carried. Thank you. Item number 5, Poihipi Road speed reduction proposal. And we have Mrs. Claire Charland here. Nice to see you, Claire.
Right, Your Worship, this is a proposal to reduce the speed on Poihipi Road from Wairaki Drive for about 800 metres, from 100k down to 80k. The key stakeholders, the police, NZTA, Automobile Association, and generally the residents are all in agreement with that 80k speed zone. By the reduction of the speed, there's likely to be a reduction in the number of crashes and also the severity of crashes. If anybody's got any technical questions, then I'll hand over to Claire to answer.
Thanks, Dennis. Any questions of Claire?
Mr. Chairman, I support it on the reason. On one of the pages here, I think it's 5/10, there's an incident that nearly happened to us. If we're travelling from the west on Poihipi Road, we now don't turn down Watani Lane, we go and turn into Acacia Bay Road because it's safer. It surprised me how fast they take that corner, so I'm fully supportive.
Cool. Any other question? I suppose just a question of Claire. The 10 injury accidents, or both injury and non-injury accidents, would they not be on the corner of the intersection, or are they up the 800 metres?
There's a diagram on page 5/7.
5/7, yep.
And it's basically that whole section between Watani Lane and...
Oh, okay, sorry, that's the accident sites, is it?
And that's really where the crashes are actually occurring.
Right,
Or where
okay.
they end up.
Okay,
Come around that corner on two wheels.
yeah, that's clear. Okay, Councillor Hickling?
So, Dennis, if we approve this resolution, when are you able to actually action this? I'm just concerned it says to be incorporated into the speed limit by law review. So can you put the signs up before you do the review, or?
We would implement it straight away, and then it would be incorporated into the review, bylaw review, when that occurs next year.
So if somebody is picked up for speeding at 80k and it's not in our bylaws, does that make a problem, or?
No, under the current bylaw, council can by resolution change the speed, and so that's how that would occur. And then once the recommendation was accepted and passed, then we would implement it, and that it would become legal.
Okay, thank you.
So it becomes, if we pass this today, it becomes legal from today.
Yeah.
You've got them ready to go, no doubt. That's pretty good. All right, Councillor Krasowski.
Yes, I wholeheartedly endorse this, and as a part-time cyclist, I think it's just another way of showing that the district that we are looking after our cyclists as well, and go for it.
Yeah, and especially for the residents too of that boundary onto that particular road of those 800 metres, I think it's an excellent result. Mr Manhannon.
Through the chair, it's what the speed limit shows on the sign that counts. There was an article in the paper this morning which showed in one area that they'd changed the speed limit from 70 to 60, but only one sign had been changed, so it was 60 going in one direction and 70 going in the other. And legally, that's how it stood.
Great. Okay. Thank you very much, Councillor Cousins.
Through the chair, I'm surprised we've got to item 5 before anyone's even mentioned the CEO's dapper new tie that he's wearing today. So, well done.
We did it in your absence this morning.
Oh, did you?
I've got the photo as well.
Oh, was he really? I'm two frames of mind about this one, I have to say. I read the report about the number of crashes, and there's only been a couple there. There are other parts of the district which aren't covered by 80Ks where there's built-up zones. I hear Councillor Krasowski's comments on cyclists. As much as I respect cyclists, they don't pay road tax to be on the road anyway, so when they do, then maybe we can be more accommodating. But I'm really concerned that all we seem to do is slow traffic down around the region, and I understand that there's always going to be drivers which cause grief. But I notice here the average speed is 91 at point of crashing, 91 kilometres, it says in here. So we're going to slow down by 11 Ks, is that going to make a difference? And until we're all driving bamboo bikes stuck together with cow manure, run on, I don't know, pine cone oil, cars are going to be running around the district, these speeds, so I don't know if it's going to help us.
Thank you, Dennis.
An answer to the question, will it make a difference? Yes, it is likely to reduce the number of crashes and also reduce the severity of crashes. The faster you go when you stop, the severity increases the faster you are travelling at impact.
But we had 10 crashes in 5 years. I may have missed it, but was there other stats in here for other locations?
That's correct.
Yes, so 10 crashes, not 2.
Oh, 10.
10, yeah.
Yes, 10.
You said a couple.
5
yeah.
years. I'm just saying, I couldn't see anything else compared with other areas.
Through the
Sorry.
Through the chair. Yes, I agree with the proposal. I believe that road has been more and more used. It's actually got quite a big camber on it. And I know the residents, Graham Spence, he's saying what nearly went through his fence one day, just about the 200 metre from the intersection. So I'm fully in support of the proposal.
Okay, Councillor Truman.
I drive that road quite regularly whenever I come here. It's kind of a natural place to slow down anyway. You're coming into town, it's just you just naturally slow down at that part. Well, that's how I do. So I don't think it's going to be too much of a problem for motorists to be slowing down to 80. So I support it.
Okay.
Through the chair, thank you. Just a question for Mr. Lewis. The NZTA did not see the need for us to extend that 80k for 800 metres. but we're recommending that we do. What was our rationale for that, please?
Through the chair, the NZTA guidelines, there was actually 800 metres for an 80k zone, so they actually didn't know their own rules.
Oh, really? Encouraging to hear.
Well done, Claire. Oh, you're
No, I just queried it because it's in the report.
Okay, thank you very much. I think we've probably talked about that enough, and seems to be a general support. Do I have a mover for that resolution? Thank you, Councillor Krastowski, seconded by Councillor Hickling. Thank you. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Those against? Would you like the recorded, Councillor Cousins? What sort of car do you drive?
What's the registration number?
I know it.
You can't miss that.
Item number 6, draft asset management plans. Mr. Dennis Lewis.
Yes, Your Worship, we have here a report to adopt the draft asset management plans. There is an executive summary from each of the asset management plans. It is in a draft form, and I should point out at this stage that the financial graph that's in there is the financial, represents the financial information post any decisions that were made through the groups of activities workshops. That information is currently being put together by the finance team, and those graphs will be updated probably today or tomorrow to represent the final draft numbers.
Great. Thanks, Mr. Lewis. Any questions of Mr. Lewis? Councillor Krastowski.
Thank you for this very comprehensive report. We've also received this report here. I'm not sure whether you had received it.
Yes.
I just want to make sure that the comments that were made by the Auditor General are more or less addressed in what we have here.
I think I mentioned at the workshop on Tuesday of last week that report was produced last week, and the asset management plans were in their draft form were finalised about a month ago. So short answer is probably not, but we're reviewing it. The AMP is a live document, so we're reviewing the two, but at the moment possibly not. That's probably giving the incorrect message. I would like to think that all of those things are incorporated in the AMP. We just haven't had time yet to look at the two documents and compare.
Okay.
Great. Councillor Truman.
Just a couple of little things. So 6/5, yep, 5/6. Tirohonga, and it says /Serenity Cove. That's no longer called Serenity Cove. So could that be changed? That's Waipami Farms now. And also, I just had a question. Say, Motitere Campground, so the number of rateable properties is 200. The question I had was, how come that's 200 there, but then when you go to the wastewater schemes, it's just one rateable property? So how is it 200 rateable properties for the water supply schemes and only one rateable property for the wastewater?
I'm sorry, Councillor, I don't have an immediate answer for that. It probably should only be one because it's the Motitere Campground by itself. We only supply water and wastewater services to Motitere Campground.
Yeah.
It might be a reflection of the number of users at peak rather than properties, but it should be properties.
That would have been the answer if there'd been more numbers in the wastewater as well, but there's only one in wastewater.
Yeah. And another question I had, so it's probably similar thing. Atimuri says it's got 75 for district water supply schemes, and then the wastewater, it's got 181 rateable properties. So again, number of rateable properties seems conflicting.
I would need to get back to you on that one.
Yeah.
Okay, so you adjust these, can we adjust these? Or?
If there's any inconsistency on error, that will be adjusted, but if there's a reasonable explanation for those differences, then I will send that out.
Okay, thank you. All right, any other questions?
I just have a query, and that's just to do with the figures. On 6/7, where we talk about demand forecast, and it goes through all the activities, the growth is predicted at 788. I would suggest lots. Is that correct?
Correct.
When we go and look at the draft strategy, and you may have answered this in a previous question for November, it's comments made in there in regards of, secondly, the Taupo District currently has the supply of vacant residential lots. Over time, these will be developed, and new drilling will, and this will suppress the need for the creation of new lots. We get into a contradiction here. One stage we're saying we're going to need X, and then the other one we're saying the demand might not be so great.
In the EMPS, this is a prediction of what's likely to be created over the next 10 years, whereas the strategy is more talking about what's currently available.
I think one of the answers is that once you create a lot, obviously you need to service it, so the asset management plan needs to provide for that. The information that you read out is that we do have a large number of serviced, developed, but lots that don't have houses on them.
Yeah.
Okay, any other questions of Mr. Lewis? In the case, we've got a suggested resolution there. Draft asset management plan to be adopted, subject to any changes needed as a result of the LTP process. Could I have a mover, please? Thank you, Councillor Williamson, seconded by Councillor Stewart. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Those against? Carried.